So I'm really pleased that the event so far has it created that conversation, and I'm sure it will continue. However, now we need to look at the growing your business in Worcestershire and how to grow it. I'm going to introduce Jenny Long, who's another non-exec board member at the LEP, and Luke Willits, Deputy CEO.
Charles.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're the last leg before lunch, so we're gonna do our very level best to sort of keep you engaged as we come into our third and final session of the big conversation today, which is growing your business and growing in Worcestershire. So you've heard this morning presentations focused around skills and innovation. So we're here to discuss the third pillar within the LEP, being the support for businesses within the region. Firstly, let's introduce ourselves. So my name is Jennifer Long. I'm the Managing Director of Ice Blue. We're a Microsoft Gold Partner technology company based in Worcestershire. I'm also a Director of Midlands Cyber, and I sit on the board as the SME Business Champion and the Vice Chair for Worcestershire Local Enterprise Partnership. Luke?
Afternoon, everybody. My name's Luke Willits. I'm the Deputy CEO at the Worcestershire LEP and have management responsibility for the Growth Hub, which you'll hear about shortly.
So there we go, little works. So what are we going to cover in this session? First of all, we're going to look at what does the business environment look like within Worcestershire. We're going to be outlining the Worcestershire Growth Hub service. I know, and as I say, I sit on the LEP board, but actually I've over the last 12 months had quite an education as actually what the Growth Hub does and how it can help us as a business. And then we're going to look ahead to the future of business support within Worcestershire. So, without further ado, Luke is going to discuss the business environment.
Cheers. Seamless transfer. Thank you. So, good news and bad news. Good news, didn't get the Slido memo, so no Slido, so that's okay. Bad news, there is still some audience participation, so it's a bit old school, so we're going to play it that way. So, what I wanted to do in this first bit, really, was to build a bit of a picture around what does the Worcestershire business environment look like here in our county. So, business in the county. Now, a little quick game. Guys in the public sector, you're not allowed to play this because you will know this. So I'm looking to the business in the room. Number of businesses in the county. Who wants to have a shout out? How many do we think we've got? No, not you, Robert. Not you either. Go on, just a shout out. Come on. 15,000, good start. Any advance on 15,000? 27,000. It's almost like you've seen this. Unbelievable.
It seems like it was on an earlier slide.
I'm watching you. Okay, now we're going to break that down a little bit. Large, how many? So this is in terms of number of full-time equivalent employees within the businesses. So in terms of large, which is 250 and above, of that 27,000 in Worcestershire, what would you guess? 100? 500. 100. Okay? We're going to get to the other end of the scale now. The micro, which is classified as those 0 to 9 full-time equivalents. How many? 26,000? 24,000. Okay? So fill in the gap then. 2,500 small, which is 10 to 49. And in the medium, we are 400. Okay, so a bit of a picture there in terms of the makeup and the size of the businesses that we have here in our county. Next up. Right. Interesting one. Total annual turnover of all of those 27,000 businesses in pounds sterling. What would you say? You're not ready to guess that one, are you? How much? 2.7 billion. Thank you, Jim. That's a good start. Any advances on 2.7 billion? 25 billion. Better. 30 billion plus. And finally, businesses by sector. Now, I'm not going to build this completely, but the top 5 in terms of size of number of businesses that we have in these sectors. Business admin and support services, 10%. Professional, scientific and technical, 14%. Retail, 6%. Transport and storage, 7%. Construction, 14%. And the rest, kind of less than 6%. So 3 key messages here. 98% of the businesses in Worcestershire are classed as micro or small. £30 billion of turnover generated in the county. You guys are a huge asset to Worcestershire, and that's why we're really keen to engage with you and to continue to engage with you around what support you need, what you're using at the moment, and what you need for the future. And we've got a really broad and diverse economy in the county, as you can see there by the pie chart. So, one of the things that the LEP has done for the last couple of years is publish an economy report, looking at under the hood of the Worcestershire economy and publishing stats as similar to what you've just seen. We're about to launch 2024's, but there's a bit of a little tease. I've got some stats ahead of time for you today. I'm not going to get you to guess this stuff, but breaking this down, that micro 24,000 that I shared with you earlier, you can break that in half again, and 0 to 4 versus 5 to 9, we've got 77% of all businesses in that 0 to 4. So we really are quite micro here in the county. And the number of enterprises in Worcestershire has fallen by 5.5%. Now, there's a couple of anomalies in that data because we know there are some management companies that are setting up a lot of companies in one place. But actually, the more important thing, or the more interesting trend, is that we're seeing fewer business births over the last 12 months, but also fewer business deaths as well. We've got 85 businesses, that's just 3%, in the county that are classed as high growth. And what does high growth mean? Well, the definition here is they've got 10 or more employees with an average growth in employment of greater than 20% per year over a 3-year period. So again, that's really back to our kind of where we're starting from, our business base. We don't have that many over 10 in the first place, so having high growth is a challenge in itself. So that's what we're trying to do as a partnership, is grow the number of high growth businesses that we have. Productivity. So a lovely little bit of design spin here. So it's increased in 2021, but actually the real message is we are still below the national average in Worcestershire in terms of productivity. There's a whole number of factors for that, and some of them we'll talk about and have heard about already today. Innovation is an area that we've talked about. Again, we are punching below our weight in Worcestershire in terms of the UK performance, but there are real positive seeds of growth there that we can build on. But we don't leverage enough from regional and national resources as we should, and we need to do more in that space. Only 6% of Worcestershire businesses export to the EU, and fewer export to non-EU territories. And again, we see this as a real opportunity to grow the productivity and the performance of Worcestershire businesses. And finally, linking in the skills agenda, only 6.9% of Worcestershire employment is in those science, research, engineering and tech professional roles, when you compare that to almost 10% at a national level. So hopefully it just gives you a bit of a picture there in terms of some of the headline stats in Worcestershire.
Seamless transition. Barriers to business growth within the region. Obviously, I run a business. I know the barriers that are for my business. And we're very mindful when you look at this question, then the barriers obviously depends very much so on what industry that you happen to be in. But there's a lot of businesses that have engaged with the Growth Hub, and they've given their feedback as to what they think the more generic barriers to business are. So we'll just go through just a few of those. The ability to recruit and retain the right skills. We've talked about this morning in the skills part of the presentations. Certainly for us, hybrid working, productivity, keeping the culture when people are at home has come to sort of the forefront, really, of what we've had to do as a business. Supply chain issues, cost of materials, cost of energy. Oh gosh, if I had £1 for every time somebody said to me, do you know how much my energy bill's gone up? Availability of suitable premises, certainly if you're in a scale-up environment as well. Actually, when you start looking, there's not a huge amount of commercial property out there that can suit a scaling-up business. Mental health and well-being of your staff. Access to grants for investment and access to finance for growth. Compliance and red tape. Certainly taxation, interest rates, inflation, all of those things are sort of impacting us on daily. Sustainability and the net zero demands, regulation associated with Brexit, access to markets, uncertainty in markets, and planning issues. All of these are things that have been brought up and brought to our attention, and I'm sure you can identify with some of those. But at this point, we'd quite like to open the floor. Is this actually what you think? Do you agree? This is a fair reflection? Roland, I think you wanted to have something to say about this. We've got a microphone for Roland from Marketing and Technologies Group.
Sorry, I've been on twice now. Thank you for that. Very briefly, and this is a challenge to the local council who I've spoken to, the LEP who we're a part of, is not penalising businesses for innovation. So if I've got, say, a warehouse full of taps made in China, I have a very, very low business rate. If I've got a yard full of fence posts, I have a very, very low business rate. I've got 15,000 square foot and it's full of innovators. It's people earning money and things like that. I get allowances from the government on R&D tax spending, which is fantastic, but I need somewhere for them to sit. So on a national level, supported, on a local level, I'm being penalised. It's £8,000 a month that I have to earn to pay my business rates. And the yard next to me that's bigger is £1,000 a month, and they don't employ anyone. So in terms of innovation and money, I'll employ the people, I'll train the people, but give me a break.
Understood.
Fair challenge. Anybody else got anything they want to say? Now's your time to have your voice.
We'll take a few, and then we'll respond. Anybody else? Is this reflective of because this is kind of intel that we've gleaned through the Growth Hub. This is what businesses that were engaging with us are telling us are key issues. I got another one at the back. Thanks, Chris.
Hi, so one of the major issues I've found over the past few years in this region is transport. What are the Growth Hub doing to support building transport links to employment opportunities?
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
Matt Press from Kimmel, medical device manufacturer. I think the list there's quite a few that are national issues. And I think it's the ones, certainly from our perspective, regulation is a UK governed element. Worcestershire is not going to have its own rules for what goes into hospitals and whatever else, exporting the same. So I think it's those elements, in terms of sites, location, we're talking there about rates, the things that are controlled locally. And I think that's certainly from our perspective, whilst I would agree with all of those, I would probably have in brackets UK and some that are Worcestershire specific.
Thank you. Working, Chris, that's good.
I think part of ours is the ability to recruit and retain. But in all of this, we've not spoken once about sales. In 2 hours here, this is why we're all here. We need to sell more, to earn more, to grow growth. We're finding that no one comes out of school wanting to work in sales. And it's that old joke, I fell into it. But if anyone came out with an understanding of sales, an understanding of some kind of commercial understanding of a business, it's a role they can earn a lot of money in. And I think it's not been mentioned, and it just seems a bit strange we're talking about growth and no one spoke about sales at all. So I think it's getting sales people into the right role, which I think is important. Coming out of school, which goes back to skills and so on, I think it'd be really good for something to push.
Yeah, completely agree, and it's a really good point. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Annette Daly, Chief Exec of YMCA Worcestershire. Everybody's done a turn on the dance floor to the YMCA tune, but I just want to do a shout out for the charity sector. Because while we're talking about things from a business point of view, we're talking about business in a charity point of view. And so a lot of the barriers that you've listed there are hitting us and hitting us even more so, because the cuts to government funding for some of the services that we try to provide have been quite substantial. Businesses that might support us are finding their own pinch, and so then that has an impact also. And there are lots of challenges in our cost of living and supporting residents who are struggling with that. You're talking about young people and employability. We house young people who come in with no aspirations, and then they're getting hammered with the cost of living and everything else, and we're getting hammered trying to support them. So I think while I'm very conscious of a lot of businesses looking to make profit and grow here, which is fantastic, we're as a charity trying to make surplus and grow as well. So just to put a shout out there for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Chris, just one last one at the front, please. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Hayley. I'm a business psychology consultant. I'm just looking at them, and apart from the mental health and wellbeing one, I'm wondering if there's anything in there about us as business owners, as leaders, as what are we doing? The question I always ask my clients is, we generally know what we need to do in order to move forward in our business, but do you know who you need to be? So what is it about your own personal skills development or self-awareness reflection bit?
Yeah,
Not sure, something around that.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So some really interesting and varied kind of feedback there. So I think I'll try and pick up as many as I can and remember. So in terms of the mental health and wellbeing one, something you heard about Beat It Down earlier, part of the mentoring that's delivered through that programme is around that health and wellbeing, and there's a mentor specifically dedicated to that aspect of it, because for all of you guys in here, and we're talking about a lot of a business community which is kind of 0 to 4, a lot of it is on the business owners. You know, you're doing a lot of stuff yourself and trying to run businesses and everything else that goes with it. So we recognise that. And through the Growth Hub, we've also introduced fairly recently a specialist advisor that we can refer into that can provide that support to business owners as well. So we're recognising that. It's obviously not enough at the moment, and we are feeding that back into central government in terms of an area of support where we want to see more of. So that would be that point. Transport, obviously, and kind of we're jumping ahead on the danger of jumping ahead on some of the presentation, but we are funded by both central government and local government in terms of a growth hub. We've got good relationships with all of our local authority partners. And so by you guys engaging with the Growth Hub and giving us that intel and that feedback so that we're aware of it, we can then feed that back and start building, hopefully, a case for change in terms of, you know, addressing some of those issues. So what I would encourage you, and it'll be a consistent theme as we go through this, is to engage with the Growth Hub. Tell us your challenges, tell us your opportunities, and we can take that back and kind of magnify it and put it right into the right people within the partnership, basically. I mean, that goes across the board for everything that we've heard. The charities piece, so what we've seen in terms of the funding regime from central government, previously when we were part of the EU, we had the EU funding programmes. Some of those funding allocations were a lot tighter, and charities weren't an area that we could particularly work with. That's been loosened a little bit through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. And I know a number of the Growth Hub account managers have been out and have worked with charities and will try and provide support where they can. So we do recognise you as an important sector, and you are now able to access a bit more of the support than you perhaps could have done in previous regimes. That's as many as I can remember. What else have I missed? Sales. So again, I think that's back to the kind of, it links in with the skills agenda. And I think what we've done through the work with the Chamber on the local skills improvement plan, through Judy's team, we are working with employers to gather that information about what are the kind of the skills challenges. And I think if sales and marketing is falling short, then we need to work more with our education providers. We've got people in the room that represent those, and look at what we can put on if there's a gap there. Because one of the things, I don't want to ruin an announcement later, but it's going to be funding initiative around skills and training, and that might be something that we can link back into. So I'll keep the powder dry on that one, but we'll come back to that.
So, based on the intelligence of the Growth Hub, we kind of got some feedback back as to what the top 3 barriers were within the county. First one, we've already talked about it, recruitment and retention of skills. The second one, access to finance and funding. And the third one, the commercial property and planning issues that we come across. So, yeah, I think a really valuable some feedback there, and definitely come and see us afterwards as well, and we can take those discussions further on about how we might be able to address some of those barriers within the county. So we now move on to part 2 around what is the Worcestershire Growth Hub and how does it support our region?
Cheers. Thank you. Okay, so again, good news in the sense that there are a lot of organisations and support programmes out there for you. The bad news is, how do you guys keep on top of all of them? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. What I would say to you is, don't worry about all of those and just remember the Worcestershire Growth Hub, because what we do is navigate all of that stuff and be the experts in what's out there and keep up to date with what's out there so that you don't have to. So you've got one phone call to make to us and we can try and broker you into any support or advice that's out there. So what are we? Well, we are the primary gateway to business support in the county. Now, that's not to take all the glory. We recognise, obviously, all of the work of the partners here that actually put the support in place and fund it. We're just the kind of gateway to accessing it. And we will lead that kind of business engagement with you guys to kind of make those referrals. As I mentioned already, we're central government and local government funded, and we will support any business in the county. So that's working from pre-starts through scale-ups to the largest businesses in the county and beyond. And it is tailored support. So a lot of, I understand cash is king and all that. Money is really important. But it goes beyond the money. It's not just about grants and finance, skills, mental health, transport, all of that kind of stuff we can work with you on. And so going back to that kind of soup of logos that I showed a moment ago, this is by no means an exhaustive list, but we can navigate that business support landscape at a local level and then that regional and national piece as well. And back to the point I made earlier, we want to leverage more of those national and regional contracts that are out there, and why shouldn't Worcestershire get its share of the pie and more? And so there's stuff out there for businesses, and it's about us how we broker into that. But at that point, there's a couple of people in the room. So, from a local example, the university, they now offer Help to Grow. So I know Joe's in the room. Joe, do you want to just couple of words on what that offers?
Hi everyone, I'm Jo Murphy. I'm from Worcester Business School at the University of Worcester. We ran our first cohort of Help to Grow last year, where we had 21 SMEs take part in the course. Holly, you've taken part in the course and another of your colleagues. We're launching again in April. It's effectively a mini MBA. It's a 12-week programme that we run one afternoon a week. 8 sessions are online and 4 are on campus. We're actually taking the alumni of the first course down to the House of Commons on Monday with Robin Walker, and we're meeting with the Small Business Commissioner for the government. You get free mentor through Enterprise Nation, and the whole sort of theme around the course is input to enable you to develop a growth plan for your business. Also, of course, the networking and the links that you make throughout that are really key for you. So if anybody's interested in that, please do speak to your local Growth Hub advisor, and they will let me know that you're interested. If not, do find me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thanks, Jo. And that wasn't even rehearsed, by the way. That was genuine. I did learn about the Commons bit today, so thanks, Jo. And there are other partners, obviously, locally that we work with. Obviously, the Chamber, we talked about export, and they've got the export docs team that we can refer into. There are central resources to help us do that. So a lot of stuff out there. Talk to the team, and we can help you to access that. So that's one side of the coin that the Growth Hub does, which is the whole business support piece. The other side is, which we have touched on, the kind of having your say bit and that business engagement and the intelligence that we as a Growth Hub glean from you guys and then feed back. So we will do, we will identify communities of interest where it's appropriate, and we will kind of run round tables on particular topics and business topics that are pertinent to you guys. We will collaborate with business representative organisations that operate in the county as well, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. But importantly, we're free to access, a lot of the support is free to access afterwards, and we're impartial as well. You know, this isn't about being judgy. The guys aren't going to come in and tell you how to run your business. It's about an informal conversation, an open conversation, and understand what you're trying to achieve, and then how we can help broker the support to help you do that. So it's about amplifying all of you 27,000 businesses, beating that kind of lone voice syndrome and those frustrations that you no doubt have day to day, trying to collate that, coordinate, amplify, and magnify it, and feed that back into the relevant part of the local partnership. That could be higher education, further education, back to your point in terms of skills. It could be back into the business community in terms of supply chain links, or into local government where you're talking things like transport, planning issues. Or if it needs to go above, back into central government, we have that link into there.
Well, it's been refreshing to
Case
work with a Growth Hub manager that is keen to understand our business. And Sally has built a relationship with me and my team over many months now to try and understand the business, and where possible to recommend professional business advisors for needs that we may have. And that has worked extremely well.
Definitely not a one-time hit. It's not like a one-time offer. I've worked out that actually it's become like an annual thing now to have a review with Randesh, and then also that they're always there. So it's more than just one-off coffee. It's like there's an element of accountability on both parts.
When you meet with Gwen, you get all that resource of all those people that she knows, and she was able to mould and provide advice based on our needs.
Growth Hub, when I first met Sally, we were really struggling to get finance for the new training centre. So I'd had an idea in my mind that we'd deliver these courses and we'd subcontracted them out to other training providers. Part of our growth plans is that we wanted to bring it all in-house. So we wanted to deliver the training ourselves. We couldn't get the funding. I'd spent months talking to my bank, and every single time that I went to put in something, I'd have they'd give me an action plan, something I needed to do, and it went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. I sat down with Sally, I booked an appointment with Sally, and she referred me to a colleague, Angie, and within weeks we'd had an offer on the table to entirely fund exactly what we needed, actually to fund more than what we needed for our new training centre. So it was, you know, and that was just me taking the initial step to actually look out to get some help, which I'd never done in the past. I always wanted to do it myself. We actually got some help, and the Growth Hub helped us initially with the funding to open up the training centre. Through the Growth Hub, we've got the assistance that we needed with the marketing, which has taken us to, you know, a record year last year, and obviously all of the funding that we've got has opened us up to more things.
Great. So that was the point there was, you know, as it says there, don't just take our word for it. So some cases then, just to re-emphasise the point that I think it was Paul made in there. This doesn't have to be a one-hit wonder either. There is so much support that's out there. This can be a relationship. That's what we're trying to build here with you as businesses, and tackling this in bite-sized chunks. So it might be you want to look at workforce planning in the first instance, and then you can turn your attention over to maybe net zero later. Is there anybody willing to share, perhaps in the audience, experience of working with the Growth Hub? Good would be great. Bad or indifferent would be interesting as well. But hey, I might regret asking that. Anybody? We'll move on. Okay, third and final session, shaping the future of business support.
So this bit falls to me to start with, I think. So how do we shape the future of business support? I think for that question, we first need to take a moment to ask the question, what does the future of businesses in our region actually look like? In 2020-21, the LEP designed a plan for growth that outlined the vision for the county that moved towards 2040. And that was in a pre-pandemic world. So I think you'll all agree we're now in a completely different place to where we were pre-COVID. For those of us in the service industry, hybrid working, maintaining productivity and company culture has moved now into the forefront of our strategies and workforce planning. And we've heard this morning about AI and how that's going to change all of our businesses going forward. And we do a lot of work in AI, and what my programmers say they can do on a Monday, they can do differently by a Wednesday. And in something that's working as quickly as that to change our businesses, how do we embrace that and take it forward? There's also the potential of a change of government looming following the results of the general election later in the year. And there's other macro mitigating factors that are outside of our control. So as businesses, we have to change, we have to adapt if we're going to survive and we're going to thrive as a business community, which is exactly what we want to do within Worcestershire. So the Growth Hub needs you to continue to build the connections with them and the relationships, because it's you, the business community, that can be better informed and give all the issues, barriers, and indeed the successes. Don't forget to share the successes. We're really good as British people of it's like, yeah, it's really bad and this and that. But actually, when you've done something great, shout about it and tell everybody within the region. And now those ideas and that feedback will help us shape and inform the offering that we can offer as a business support offering within the region, and also educate our leaders as well in this challenging landscape. So with this in mind, we thought we wanted to show and showcase some of the schemes that are already running within the business journey and inform you of a couple of new additions. So as you know, this is our business journey, road from pre-start, startup, growth, and the future is never straight. It's full of twists, turns, lumps, bumps, highs, lows, and everything else in between. So how do we support every different kind of business in the region, in every different kind of sector, in every different stage of the business journey? That's a challenge, and it's one, as we say, we need your feedback to help us achieve. So first of all, click please, Luke.
Next slide, please.
Access to funding. So within the Growth Hub, they've got lots of access to different types of grants and finance. So there's business support grants that are administered by the local government. There's the Midlands Engine Investment Fund. There's the British Business Bank, BCRS loans. You've heard from Nigel this morning about how we're trying to get together an angel network to support innovation and entrepreneurship within the region. All of this is signposting and very different for each business. So what the Growth Hub Advisor will do is come and talk to you, listen to what you've got to do, and then broker those connections for you so that you can start to access something that's relevant for you and will work.
Okay, so exciting new announcement for you. So this comes in live. Skills Boost Worcestershire is the initiative. Kicks in on the 1st of April, but we wanted to talk to you about it now. This is about an opportunity to upskill your Worcestershire resident employees. Businesses can claim up to £12,000 in funding and claim 50% of the cost back, so up to £6,000 for either accredited training or bespoke training. So, you know, when Finny was talking earlier, I noticed Julie was scribbling AI, so Finny might be offering a lot of AI masterclasses here. But your skills, your sales and marketing, you know, if there's something that's on the market already that exists, then you can access that. If not, then we can help you work with education training providers to build something that works for you, tailored to you, and help partially fund it through this route. So this will be available for 1 year. It's funded by local government. It's delivered in partnership with the Growth Hub, so we will be out there working with businesses to help you do Skills Boost Worcestershire. Again, speak to the Growth Hub team. They'll identify themselves at the end so you know who to speak to. So skills and training, and you heard earlier from Judy about the wealth of programmes that are out there that you can access in terms of inclusivity and the Worcestershire Apprenticeship Service, etc., etc. Now, when I talked about the Growth Hub earlier, I didn't mention that we've got a website, but you would expect that, wouldn't you? So the link is on there, and through that you can access a range of resources that we've talked about today, and do things like accessing a business events calendar. So what's going on, not just events that the Growth Hub runs, but what our partners are running as well. There is commercial property searches that we offer, and we have links with commercial property agents around the county, so people looking to find new premises, we can support with that, as well as tender opportunities. So there's a portal on the website. So a plea would be access the website, have a look, and again, feedback is really valuable. If it doesn't work, tell us. We want to make it better. We want to make it meet your needs. God, there's a bloody delay on this, I tell you. Is Ashley still here?
Hey.
There we go.
Commercial property as the...
Oh.
Yeah.
Commercial property, sorry, yeah. So commercial property searches I've mentioned, and planning. I made the point in response to feedback in terms of if any businesses are having planning issues, again, managing expectations here, we can't come in and solve them, but back to that relationship that we have with local government, we can help broker a conversation to help try and look at a resolution for you there.
Business representative organisations. So part of the work of the Growth Hub is also to link into the business representative organisations within the county. So, of course, the Chamber of Commerce, absolutely, Circle for Success, Federation of Small Businesses, Midlands Cyber, you've heard from Ryan earlier today anyway, the NFU, Stirling, Worcestershire Ambassadors, Worcestershire Hour, and others. So in order to collaborate, share intelligence, all of these representatives all have their own networks. So how do we pull all of those together and share that intelligence across each of the platforms where appropriate? We've got Robert Elliott from the Chamber. I think you were going to just be happy just to briefly tell us about new skills support.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can juggle. We talked about sales earlier, so here comes a blatant sales pitch. But like any good salesperson, I will emphasise the benefits and the added value to your business. Did you see what I did there? So yes, there is some exciting news. It's not on the horizon. It's actually coming in the next 6 weeks. So this is hot off the press. Earlier on today, we were talking about the LSIP delivery with the expectation that from autumn of 2022 to May of 2023, we would actually establish a nice long list of technical skills that people would want. Rocket companies would want rocket scientists. Southco would want tool makers. But the overwhelming response was and continues to be that work readiness remains the most pressing need for employers. Organisations of all sizes are highlighting issues with self-confidence, attitudes, time management, use of mobile phones and general work ethics. We also uncovered that although the perception is that we're all very good level of digital literacy nowadays, this is not actually the case. And many new starters struggle to navigate a computer effectively. So, as a representative of the Chamber of Commerce, I'm delighted this afternoon, to be able to announce to you that we have been chosen to deliver largely free people and skills training in Wychavon, Worcester City and Wyre Forest. The training will start, as I say, in April and will conclude in March 25. The training will be delivered to either employees of businesses within the districts or to unemployed individuals, and with that we'll be working closely with the DWP. Based on stage 1 of that research that we did with the LSIP, that overwhelming response for employers was that people wanted to be work ready. So the training will be in 2 different parts: workplace skills and basic digital skills. Now, whilst the number of job vacancies advertised by employers is starting to fall, vacancies are still 156,000 above pre-pandemic levels. So combined with the knowledge that employers note that they'll be more likely to hire a person based on their attributes than their technical abilities, these 2 courses have been designed to support any employees, but in particular, those starting work, returning to work, unemployed, or anyone with these particular needs being identified. Soft skills are increasingly recognised as critical for success in personal and professional settings, with links to many positive outcomes, including academic achievement, career success, and overall well-being. Digital skills are now expected for most roles in order to navigate and work effectively in digital society. So just briefly, those 2 courses, the digital skills course will include basic IT administration, internet safety and security, an introduction to Microsoft packages such as Teams, Excel, Word, and Outlook, and an introduction to social media. The workplace skills will include assertiveness and confidence, work ethics and professionalism, interview and presentation skills, time management, and communication skills. Each strand will comprise 2 days of training, broken into short, modular styles of learning to suit the individual and to suit the employer. In addition to this, and in the poll earlier today, it was identified by you in this room today that training for people in leadership positions was key to your success. And that's where the Chamber of Commerce and the Leadership Development Series will actually support that particular opportunity. And with the grant funding for training that you've just heard about, I've just given you an opportunity to spend some of that money. And actually, Jo, I was going to give her the chance to talk about her MBA and Help to Grow, but she got in there first. So we're all working together here. And the Chamber of Commerce are so proud to have been awarded this opportunity and to work with partners around the room to support this. So thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Can we please, Luke? Thank you very much. And again. So we also, I think it's really important as well to mention that we also have a specialist advice and guidance that we signpost through the Growth Hub. So we've got a framework of professionals who can offer specialist advice such as digital adoption of technology, financial strategies, general business advice, green agenda, marketing and communications, strategic work planning, and mindset and well-being. And these are companies that have been employed, professional companies that are employed under that framework to help you. So again, if you get in touch, they'll be able to signpost you to the people that help you the best.
Thanks, Jenny. Export and importing, I've touched on this, so I won't labour this point, but there are services that are available both locally and regionally, nationally that we can broker you into if this is an area of interest. Back to you for BetaDen.
Innovation. Huge. We've talked a lot about it this morning. We've had a fantastic presentation about it. BetaDen, we've spoken about BetaDen, our award-winning innovation accelerator. And that was originally put forward to help support the creation of high-value jobs and entrepreneurship in Worcestershire, which, when we first started on this journey, was quite at a low level. I've been asked again to talk about the cohort 8 applications, which close on the 1st of March, just in case you hadn't got that in your diary. Is that all right, Dunster? All right, did I get that good? And BetaDen's now in its 5th year and its 7 cohort of founder businesses. So with that in mind, I think also the one thing we didn't say about BetaDen earlier, which I do think is important, is BetaDen actually supports you as a business through every stage of the business journey as well. So we've had people who are pre-starts, we've had people who have got an idea and they're starting up. We've got those that are using a new type of technology to scale their business up. And then we've also got companies that are like existing, like, you know, sort of multi-million pound turnover businesses that have got an idea. And I know we come across this where actually in a really busy day when you're turning the wheels and doing what you need to do to pay people, that actually you just need to focus, focus that project out and put it into something on its own so that you can focus and concentrate on it, because it always goes to the back of the queue. And so I think it's worth mentioning that BetaDen can support that across every stage, as well as other links to innovation that we have across the county.
Thank you. And then last but not least, green energy and net zero. So again, this has been coming more and more onto the agenda the last few years. We can broker access into local support. So you've got Net Zero Worcestershire that offers decarbonisation reviews, access to grant funding. But we also work very closely with the Midlands they've changed their name, Midlands Net Zero Hubs as well, who can, again, broker access into those support and resources. So I said earlier, one thing to remember, Worcestershire Growth Hub, if nothing else, but 5 things for you to do. So, firstly, we're really keen for you to engage with the Growth Hub in terms of how we can support you in your business, but also spread the word about the services that are available so that we can get out to more of those 27,000 businesses. Secondly, talk to us about the new Skills Boost funding initiative that we've launched. This is access to cash to upskill your workforce. You've told us it's important. We've responded, and we want to work with you to do that. That can be, as I said earlier, accredited training, or it can be bespoke. Visit our website, give us feedback. Does it work? Does it give you the information that you need? Tell us how we can improve. And help shape the future Worcestershire workforce. You know, we're doing our bit in terms of the partnerships bit. How can you in businesses kind of join us and help us with that? So there are opportunities to engage through enterprise advisors and kind of provide mentoring support, careers opportunities, work experience opportunities. Again, talk to the Growth Hub if that's something. You can showcase your industry, showcase the careers that you have to offer, and let's try and retain more young people and talent in Worcestershire. And finally, use your voice as businesses. Work with the Growth Hub. We can collate that and we can make that more powerful than if you're just trying to do it alone. Finally, I'll finish on this. You'll be pleased to hear we're nearly done. So Growth Hub team, can you just identify yourselves within the room? Put your hands up. There will be opportunity at the end for you to come and find us, speak to us, talk to us, introduce yourselves and arrange a session with us. And we look forward to supporting you into 2024 and beyond. And I think with that, I'm handing back to Gary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.